What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the DFS OGs podcast here on RotoGrinders.com, presented by our friends over at BetMGM. Make sure you head over there, take advantage. Special offer, promo code GRINDERS gets you a risk-free bet up to $1,000. Gamble responsibly. Guys, week 5 is here. Noto, let's start with you. Week 4, pretty high-scoring week. A lot of injuries we got to talk about here. Your Jags almost gave it a run in Philadelphia, out to an early lead. But how was week 4, my man? How we doing today?
Yeah, as good as week 3 was, week 4, the exact opposite. Jags got smoked. Bets got smoked. DFS was terrible. So, yeah, not a lot of good for me. Hopefully you guys had a little bit better week.
All right, let's go to Chop. Hopefully a little bit more positive on his side of the table here. Chop, how was week 4? How we doing, brother?
Doing good. Week 4 was... Man, it was. I wasn't necessarily a winner in week 4. I was feeling pretty good, and then the last 2 minutes, last 2.5 minutes of that Lions game hit, and that put the cramp on the whole thing right there. I wasn't going to come back from all that. So, DFS, not so much, but other things were good. So, yeah, we're surviving, man. Surviving and advancing to another week, and hopefully one of these weeks we hit it good.
That's it. Keep your head above water. Decent week for me. Nothing major. Did want to give a shout out to friend of the show, Mike Petahoop, 24-10, taking down the Million Maker over on DraftKings with that game you talked about. I mean, he stacked the hell out of that Seattle-Detroit game. Austin Eckler with a big week. So congrats to our boy Hoop, one of us coming up here. If not one of us, hopefully one of our listeners out there. We will be going through every game, Thursday Night Football included, and we'll be utilizing scoresandodds.com for the thing you see on the screen here. If you're watching us on YouTube, gives you all the spreads across all the different books, can look at props, and the new Parlay IQ tool is a lot of fun as well. Going to help you build super plus EV parlay, same game parlay. So check that out over at scoresandodds.com. All right, guys, let's get into Thursday Night Football. We got Colts and Broncos. Obviously, the news here right before we started recording, Jonathan Taylor out this week here in Denver. So the line has moved a little bit, started at 2.5 in favor of the Broncos. We're sitting at -3 currently at BetMGM at -120. A lot of 3.5s out there, which is where I would expect it to kind of settle in at. Total is sitting at 42.5. So Chop, obviously a huge loss for this Colts team. Now, Taylor hasn't been what we expected as one of the best backs in football early this season, but still a huge loss. Now you go on the road, short week in Denver here. What are we doing here, Colts and Broncos?
Well, this actually might be a blessing in disguise for the Colts if we're honest about it here. Taylor's still good, but the offensive line for Indianapolis has let them down big time. It's not the strength that it was. In fact, it's a weakness. Their run blocking unit on the offensive line is one of the worst in the NFL this year, out of nowhere. So having Nyheim Hines in there for more snaps and coming out of the backfield and catching quick passes and making moves in space might actually be just what the doctor ordered for this offense. So, before I put my bet down, I need to know, what are we getting? Or do we got it at 3?
I'm going to look right now. We got to do the recap here too. So
Yeah,
we'll
okay.
pause you.
True
We'll
that.
pause you real quick here, Chop. And
True that.
We'll do our recap. So let's see. Chop last week looks like 3-2. You hit on the Chargers, a big win in Houston. You had Philly at home against Jacksonville, missed on Cleveland, dropped that game in Atlanta, missed on Buffalo by a half, winning by 3. It was -3.5. And you hit on the Cardinals in Carolina. Derek, not so good, my man. 1-4. You had the Eagles, but you dropped the Colts, the Broncos, the Packers only winning by 3, and then the Rams the other night in San Francisco. I also went 3-2 at Minnesota in that London game at -2.5. Detroit, which I should have switched off, but left them in there for some reason. I had Atlanta at home getting the win. Green Bay was a loss, in Kansas City on Sunday night getting the W. So my record currently 12-8. Chop sitting at 11-9. Derek at a flat 10-10. So that is the current settings. Now, you guys did advance with the Green Bay Packers in the old Survivor. That was not an easy sweat there. It was not looking good against a third-string quarterback, but they got the job done. So let's look at your line that you're going to get here, Chop. Let me see here. Official pick'em line for this game looks like Denver -3.
I'll take Denver. I'll take Denver for the big one. I'm going to lock in Denver just because. Although I do think it's worrisome that things could change with Hines and he could actually infuse a little spark into their offense. Yeah, both these teams need to win. Denver needs to win. This is atrocious what they're doing with Russell here. They need to win. They're at home. I think they'll get after it. So I'm locking in Denver on this one.
All right, best bet?
Yeah, best bet.
Best bet, number one on the board. Noto, let's go to you. One thing I failed to mention is a running game on the other side. Javonte Williams, unfortunately, done for the season here. So some combination of Melvin Gordon, Mike Boone. They just signed Latavius Murray off the New Orleans Saints practice squad. So a lot of shifts, a lot of movement in these running games, Derek. Can Indy go on the win without Jonathan Taylor and get this done in Denver on Thursday night?
I will also be locking in the Broncos as a best bet this week. I just think, look, going into Denver on a short week, tough as it is, and then you don't have Jonathan Taylor, don't have Shaquille Leonard. In his first game back, he broke his nose and got concussed, so he's not going to play in this game either for the Colts. Give me the Broncos, short week, going back home. I know this offense has been, such a joy to watch is one way to put it. It's been ugly, but I think they get it going a little bit here. I just can't play Matt Ryan on the road.
Okay, I misspoke. Official line 3.5. I was looking at something else. Want to make sure before you lock it in. You don't mind that hook.
That's fine for me.
Pulled me off. I don't want to give the hook, man. I got the hook last week with Buffalo. I know that's kind of like, yeah, I'm pulling because it was already pretty close to me. Randy Gregory's missing this game, and that's a big blow to the pass. I'm gonna pull it off. I'll make 5 more somewhere else.
All right, my apologies on that. 3.5, the official line here. Derek sticking with it. I probably lean the Broncos as well. I don't like the hook either, but without Taylor, Matt Ryan has not been great here. Denver's been pretty good against the passing game. So are the Colts going to establish any kind of running game? Phillip Lindsay maybe coming back to Denver here. He may be activated, but I just think Denver going to get it going here. So I will lean the Broncos here as well. All right, let's go to our next game. Another London game for us. Early morning Sunday, we got the Giants and the Packers. This one's sitting at Green Bay -8.5, total at 41. So Derek, will stay with you. Obviously, question marks with the Giants. Who the hell is going to be the quarterback is the main question. Green Bay survives at home barely against New England. So should handle this game. Do they handle it by 8.5?
I don't know, because I thought they would have handled third stringer Zappy last week by 9.5, and that didn't happen. So it does concern me a little bit. The best way to, kind of beat the Packers is on the ground, and that's kind of what the Giants want to do with Saquon Barkley. With this is a London game, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So with it being not a home field for Green Bay, I'll just take the points and hope that, the Giants can milk the clock a little bit.
All right, Chop, let's go over to you. Same question. A big favorite here with the Packers. We don't know the status of Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor, who's going to be the quarterback there for the Giants. But like Derek mentioned, we do know Saquon Barkley going to get the ball a ton. Green Bay struggles against the run, as good as that defense can be sometimes. So is Saquon enough to grab the 8.5 points here, Chop?
No, definitely not for me. The London thing scares me. You're traveling, you play a game, and then you got to travel all the way over there. So it's a big number, but oh man, I think I want to take the Packers here and lock them in as a best bet. I wish this game was back at home. I wish I'd even settle for being in New York, and lowering the spread just a touch for me would be great. It does scare me that it's so far away, but like the Giants are so fraudulent as a team. They just don't have much on offense, and they'll be able to scheme up to a way to kind of limit Saquon there's no threat in the passing game for the Giants. And yeah, I think Green Bay kind of like listening to Aaron Rodgers post game, the press conference. He knows games like that one where they, facing New England, Bailey Zappi, they have to put the foot down on their throat a lot sooner than that. That's kind of what he said. And he knows it was a bad deal to go to overtime. So I think they come out and take care of business here. So I'm taking Green Bay. Lock it in.
I'm kind of worried about it. This team is a work in progress. It's going to take some time to gel everything together with these young receivers. They're running the ball a ton. The defense still has some question marks here. So I lean the Packers, but I really like the under in this game. If I'm betting this game, that's probably where I go. We see some ugly games in London. Giants wanting to run the ball, Green Bay wanting to run the ball. If they get a lead, they're going to milk the clock here. I just don't see the Giants, if they are in comeback mode, being able to put a bunch of points on the board. So a low number at 41, but that'd be my pick here from this one is the under. All right, let's get to Sunday. We'll start with Seattle and New Orleans. Seattle coming off an epic win in Detroit, 48-45. The Saints struggling a little bit. No Alvin Kamara last week. No Michael Thomas. Jameis Winston, questionable once again. He also missed that game. They hung in there with Minnesota with Andy Dalton, but come up short. So traveling back home here, we got a 5.5 point spread for the Saints. We got a total up there at 46, Chop. So I know you're a Saints guy. It's hard to not believe in what this Seattle offense has been doing with Geno Smith. I know it was Detroit, but this guy has been a lot better than people realize. So can they go on the road again here against a very good defense in New Orleans and cover these points, so the Saints bounce back and beat the Seahawks here?
For me, there's too many unknowns with the injuries to the Saints right now, so I'm not going to touch one side or the other. I'd lean the under. That's the way the Saints games are kind of playing out a lot lately. So I'd lean the under, but it's too many unknowns for me to make a real pick.
All right, Derek, let's go to you again. A lot of injuries. We don't know what the status of Winston, Kamara, or Thomas as of this recording. So tough to really say if they're healthy. Maybe this line moves closer or moves up closer to a touchdown. If they're not, maybe it starts to move the other way. So what are you doing with this game early in the week? Are you a believer here in what you're seeing out of Seattle?
I don't think they're as good as their 2-2 record. They beat the Broncos in their home opener, kind of their Super Bowl, and then they beat the Lions, which they played very well. Geno's been great so far. And I think the Saints are better than their 1-3 record. But, yeah, you mentioned all the injuries, and they're coming back from London. Just so many question marks. So I'm with Chop. I'm not going to, mess with either side of the spread. I'll just assume this is going to be an ugly game and take the under.
I'm on the under here as well. If anything, I'd lean a little bit to Seattle, but tough to say with those injuries. We just don't know. So I'll just leave that alone. I'm on board with you guys there. Give me the under there as well. Next game, Derek's Jacksonville Jags going back home to host the Houston Texans, who have yet to put a win on the board. The only winless team in football right now. This opened at 7, still at 7 here at BetMGM in favor of the Jacksonville Jaguars, total at 43.5. So, Derek, again, they get out to a 14-0 lead in Philly. Ugly weather, kind of caused some problems there for Trevor Lawrence. A lot of fumbles in that game. Philadelphia just establishes their dominance and closes that game out. But now you come home, very plus matchup here with the Houston defense that cannot stop the run. I mean, James Robinson in a great spot here as a bounce-back candidate. Do the Jags bounce back? Do they cover the 7 points?
I do think the Jags bounce back in this one. Chop and I had the Eagles as one of our best bets last week, so that was nice to see, even though Jags did scare us there for a little bit. Look, talk about Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he went to Clemson, and then he's playing in Florida. I don't think he's played a lot of bad weather games in his career. Going back home, going to be sunny in Florida. So, yeah, give me the Jags at home. I still like their defense. I still like their running game. I think they're better, on both ends of the ball than the Texans. 7 is a lot, but I think they do it.
I'm on the other side of this one. I keep mentioning the Texans being competitive. That game against the Chargers, they had all their chances in the world. They make a comeback, come up short, but they're going to be competitive here. I do respect what Jacksonville's been doing. 7 feels about right, but I think Houston stays in this game and stays competitive. So, give me the +7 here. Not a best bet, but I do like the Texans in this spot. Chop, break the tie here. Jags or Houston with the 7 points.
I really don't have a preference in this game. If I was going to do it, I'd lean Jacksonville being at home. It's just a slight lean, but I don't really have a preference. I think all points are valid. Houston's better than probably what the public thinks they are, and Jacksonville has impressed me also so far. So I have just a lean towards Jacksonville.
All right, let's go to, I think, our biggest spread of the year so far. The newly minted quarterback, Kenny Pickett, leading his Steelers into Buffalo to take on the Bills. 14 on the spread here, Chop. I know you're a guy that loves to take these big points here. Can you take the 14 here with Pittsburgh, or is this one of those, they're going to get blitzed? We want to find those alternate lines here with Buffalo.
That's a tough one. You know, Kenny Pickett's first game, I think it's a big improvement over Mitchell Trubisky, but I don't know that I want to take a rookie quarterback on the road against what I think is the best team in the NFL. So I'm kind of torn on that one. If it was anybody else that they were playing, I'd probably want to take some Kenny Pickett in his first NFL start, but I can't mess with it in this situation. So it's a big number, and we'll talk about another really good team later in the Eagles, but teams like the Bills and the Eagles, like points kind of don't do anything for me this year. They're just so damn good that they can run it up fast. And I don't think I want to touch a rookie quarterback on the road against this kind of a team. So I'll slightly lean Pittsburgh here, but believe me, it's maybe like, oh, it's a blowout and they get a touchdown in the last minute to bust a spread or something, kind of a lean.
That's where I'm at with this one. I mean, normally 2 touchdowns, the NFL. I want to take Pittsburgh, but I worry about Pickett. I think he's obviously the better option than Trubisky, but to ask this kid to go into Buffalo and make his first start on the road against this team, against that crowd, against this defense is a big ask. I mean, you worry about the last minute cover, like you said, Chop, but Buffalo, one of those teams that's not going to let up. That's the thing I worry about here is they're going to continue to score. They're going to continue to put the foot on the pedal. So I want to lean Pittsburgh. I just can't do it. Derek, any more conviction here? Or are you just rolling with the Bills? And again, those alternate lines, this is one of those games that maybe we find those Buffalo minus 20 and get us some plus odds. So that's not out of the question for me either here. What are you doing with this big spread?
See, now you're speaking my language. Buffalo minus 14, Buffalo minus 19.5, Buffalo minus 23.5. Give me all those this week. This is only the second home game. Their first home game, obviously against the Titans, they just smacked them at home. And the Bills faithful, they're going to be out. They're going to be breaking tables. They're going to be fired up for this one. So yeah, like you said, I don't think they're going to take their foot off the gas at all. They've been in a couple close games recently. I think they run away with this one. I am excited to see Pickett and Pickens together, but give me the Bills by a landslide.
Best bet. I mean, that sounds like a best bet to me.
Lock it in.
All right. Buffalo on the board to go with the Denver pick for Notorious. All right, next game we got Atlanta and Tampa, a couple 2-2 teams here. Opened at 9, still sitting at 9 at BetMGM. A lot of 8.5s out there as well. Total at 48. So, Derek, we'll go to you here. Falcons getting it done. I mean, they barely threw the ball. There's a lot of upset Kyle Pitts owners out there in fantasy land. They lose Cordero Patterson to short-term IR. So that obviously a blow here. And then you're going on the road to take on Tom Brady, coming off a loss, but he does have his weapons back. Godwin was back. Julio was out there a little bit. So is this a get-right spot for Tampa, or are we believing in what we're seeing out of this Atlanta team?
As part of the 20% that played Marcus Mariota in DFS last week, very aware that they like to run the ball. 14 straight runs at one point against the Browns. And Patterson's been awesome for sure, but Caleb Huntley looked pretty good out there too. Algier looking pretty good. And this team is the only team in the NFL that has that's covered the spread in all 4 games. So I'm going to take the points on the road. Tom Brady's dealing with the elbow and shoulder injury now. A lot of off-field stuff. I know Buccaneers, they are getting healthy, but their offensive line still worries me a little bit. So give me the points. Give me the Falcons to continue their covering against the spread.
I am with you here. I'm locking Atlanta in as a best bet here. It just feels like too many points. They've been very good against the number. I've been riding them all year. I'm going to continue to here. The one thing, they'd want to run the ball, and normally Tampa, not a team you can run against, but haven't been as dominant against the run here. So maybe that same game plan can work, keep Tom Brady on the sideline. So Give me the points here, locking in Atlanta as my first best bet. Chop, are you with us here on Atlanta, or does Tampa Bay bounce back here and throttle this Falcons team?
I am not on that train. In fact, I'm locking in Tampa Bay as the best bet.
Boy.
I think it's just all about the narrative for me, like the narrative street. Like, this is a course correction game for Tampa Bay. That was an embarrassing defensive performance from a good defense. That was an embarrassing. They got embarrassed by Pat Mahomes. I got to think that they're going to bounce back pretty strong here defensively. We got some more weapons back for Brady. Like, if his head is anywhere near this, then they'll be fine. If he really is off in the clouds because he has so much stuff going on, then yeah, it's not just this game they got to worry about. They could go ahead and punt the season if he's not in his right element. So I'll take this as a course correction game for Tampa Bay, get back on track, and the Falcons watching that game against Cleveland, like, man, that was pretty pathetic. So you come with that kind of offense in Tampa, you're going to get shut out. So I'll take Tampa here.
All right, let's move to the next game in the NFC North. We got Chicago and Minnesota Vikings, 7-point favorites here, up from 6.5 at open, total at 44 here, Chop. So the Bears somehow 2-2, some ugly games. They barely throw the ball, like we talked about with Atlanta. Khalil Herbert looked pretty good in relief of David Montgomery. And Vikings get back on track. Big game out of Justin Jefferson in that London game. So big divisional game here. The standings kind of jumbled up here in the middle. Who breaks free here, Chop? Can Chicago go on the road and get it done, or cover that 7 points?
I'm going to lean Chicago. Slight lean for Chicago, just because I think that Vikings aren't that good. 3-1 is certainly a little bit not really representative of who they are. They won the last 2 games in pretty weird fashion and got lucky to get there. But more so that it's a big spread, and Chicago can run the ball, and they can really ball control it sometimes, and so they can keep it close just by limiting possessions here, I think. So I'll take a lean on Chicago plus that touchdown.
I'm not touching this one, Derek. In fact, the total seemed too high to me. If I would have just on paper, what's the total here? I would have said 40, 41. So to see it at 44 tells me I want the under in this game. Chicago's not a team that's going to score a ton of points. Minnesota hasn't really shown they're going to go out and score 35 points either. So seems like an ugly game. I'll leave the 7 alone. I'm going to go under on this one. What do you got here, Bears and Vikings?
Yeah, Beer, I'm with you on the under. Don't really love the Bears offense, obviously. And scoring across the league's just been down. I think it's like the lowest yards per attempt for quarterbacks since 2006. And the unders have just hit at like a 60% clip so far. So, yeah, I'll continue to ride the unders. A lot of teams are playing those 2 deep safeties to keep everything in front of them. I think we're just going to see a grinded out game from the Bears, and the Vikings, if they are in control, get Dalvin going a little bit.
Next game, Titans and the Washington football team / Commanders. Titans sitting at 2-2. Big win for them on the road last week in Indy. Commanders struggling big time here. Adding to the injury report, Jahan Dotson going to miss this game. The rookie been catching touchdowns seemingly every single week. Meanwhile, Tennessee, Treylon Burks going to be missing some time here as well. But Derrick Henry got back on track. Noto, another good matchup for him. This opened at a pick'em. It is all the way up to -2 here at BetMGM, and a lot of 2.5s out there. So if you're on BetMGM, get a good price on the Titans. If that is your lean, total 42.5. What are you doing here, Noto?
Don't like this game at all. This feels like a trap. It feels like the Titans should be 3.5, 4-point favorites coming off that big win. So I'm just going to blindly take the home underdog. Give me the points. Give me the line that looks fishy. Not a lot of conviction behind it. Not locking it in, but give me Washington.
I lean Tennessee here, but I have those same concerns. Anytime you see that this 2.5 feels like they're begging you to take that number. The public is all over this one as well. 80% of the bets right now coming in on the Titans. So that would be my lean. I am not locking it in, though. I'm probably with you. I'm probably going to leave this game alone, although I expect Derrick Henry to dominate this one. Chop, any more conviction in this one? Titans -2 here in Washington.
No extra conviction for me. I'll lean on the under here. I just think it's tough to pick a team right here. I was prepared to take Washington if it was a field goal or more, but it's not. So I'm just going to lean on the under.
All right, another road favorite coming up here in the AFC East. Miami, -3 here in New York, taking on the Jets. Dolphins will be without Tua. Teddy Bridgewater under center here. Opened at 6, all the way down to 3 here, Chop, at -115 total, sitting at 46 in this one. So, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater, solid, serviceable, solid. I mean, there's certainly worse backup quarterbacks in the world. Has great weapons to throw to the Jets. Been a pesky team, and they go on the road and get another win in Pittsburgh here, but tough spot here against this Miami team, coming off a loss, coming in with extra rest. Do you believe in Teddy Bridgewater here, or are the Jets going to get it done at home?
Oh, game manager Teddy, I think he'll be fine. He'll just kind of like do what he does. He's not going to be able to take advantage of the weapons that he has, not like Tua could. But he'll be fine. And I think they'll make an effort to run the ball a little bit more in this game, and they'll be fine. But I don't have a specific, like a really solid feel for it. I would say I lean towards Miami just because I think Teddy, he's not going to make mistakes, and he'll get the ball to Tyreek, but it just won't be downfield. He'll get the ball to Waddle. I just don't think it'll be downfield. But I think they'll be able to run the ball a little bit here. So, and I think they'll be able to. They're going to blitz. So how will Zach Wilson handle the blitz is going to be a big question. I don't think he'll handle it as well as he did last week. He was pretty good last week in that comeback. So I'll lean Dolphins, but I don't have a strong take on it.
We got a lot of leans here early in the week.
I went through these lines before we came on the show, and like it's hard to find 5 solid bets this week, in my opinion.
This may be an abstain week and just sit out completely, but I lean the other way, but no strong conviction either. I just give me the home team and the points. This is another one. The public is all over Miami early on in the week here, as you'd expect. 81% of the bets right now, 86% of the money. So, Derek, like Houston, the Jets just been one of those pesky teams. Breece Hall getting a little bit more involved. I certainly worry about Zach Wilson, like Chop mentioned. I mean, that's certainly the wild card here, but I think they stay competitive, so I'm going to lean as well here with the Jets early in the week, but no strong take on this game. Your thoughts here, Dolphins and Jets?
I do not like hearing that 80% of the money's on the Dolphins so far, because I do want to lock them in as one of my best bets. For all the reasons Chop mentioned, they do blitz a lot. I think, Zach Wilson, he looked great on that final drive, but he was pretty terrible before that. And I just think Teddy Bridgewater, I think, is not that big of a downgrade from Tua, a little bit, but he's a good game manager. Get the ball in the hands of his weapons. They have a lot of short passing routes for Tyreek and Waddle. I think they're going to make some plays. So I'll lock in Miami with the rest of the public.
All right, Miami, Derek's third best bet to go along with Denver and Buffalo thus far. Let's get to another small road favorite here. The Chargers traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Both teams sitting at 2-2. Opened at LA -2. That's up to 2.5 here at BetMGM. Total sitting at 47.5. So, Derek, two teams could use a win here. Chargers get it done in Houston last week. Cleveland comes up short on the road in Atlanta last week. So another small road favorite here, Derek. Another one that's getting a lot of public support here. What are you doing on this one, Chargers and the Browns?
Where's the public at this one?
Actually, it's the other way. I was looking at the wrong graphic here. Bets 55% with the Browns, 81% of the money on Cleveland. So,
all right, not a best bet for me. I do like Cleveland. I mean, they're a couple plays away from being 4-0. The game against the Jets, which they just gave up in the last 2 minutes, and then last week against the Falcons. The Chargers, they were my Super Bowl pick, but they're just dealing with so many injuries. They kind of, let the Texans back in last week. So I'll take the home team, just, ride Nick Chubb in this one.
I'm locking Cleveland in here. I mean, you think about this matchup. Cleveland loves to run the ball. The Chargers very vulnerable against the run. I mean, they just got torched by Dameon Pierce. So if Cleveland can establish it and get it going here with Chubb, with Hunt, as a home underdog, especially with that public betting in our favor here as well, I like Cleveland in the spot plus the 2.5. Wish it was 3. Maybe it ticks up to 3. But give me Cleveland here as a best bet. Chop, what are you doing here? Chargers and Browns.
Nothing strong, just leaning towards the Browns because they're at home, and this for the same reasons you said, just a slight lean. So it just feels really fishy. What have the Chargers done this year to deserve to be road favorites against Cleveland? I don't see it. So just a slight lean towards the Browns.
Got the West Coast traveling east as well for a 1 o'clock game for those that believe in that narrative. So let's move on to the Matt Patricia Bowl, our last game here in the 1 o'clock window. Detroit and New England, both teams 1-3. We got a 3-point spread in favor of New England. That is up from a 1.5 open. Total sitting at 46.5 here. The Lions overs have been money in the bank here, Chop. Going on the road here, we don't know the status yet of Swift, of Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark. We'll see if they get any of those weapons back. New England expected to be zappy under center here once again. So this defense for Detroit is terrible. New England should be able to run the ball here, Chop. Feels like an under, but what are you doing with this game, Lions and Patriots?
Yeah, another game where there's a lot of injuries right now, and it's hard to make a real pick. So I'm just going to take a lean here, and I'm taking a lean on New England because, number one, I actually think that they're probably a better team with Zappy at QB right now than with either one of those other guys right now. So I don't mind that. I think they can run the ball down Detroit's throat. I think that's what they'll try to do. They're at home, and you mentioned the little narrative streak for Matt Patricia. If anybody should know the weaknesses of Jared Goff and some of these other guys on this team, that defense, the defensive personnel, who can do what and who can't defend something, it should be Matt Patricia. This should be a game New England. In fact, I'm locking that one. Give me if I want Zappy as my QB now. Now, if Hoyer gets announced as the QB, I'm calling you and I'm taking this bet off the board right here. But I'm gonna go ahead and lock in the Patriots because I like this. Give me the Patriots as the best bet.
I love New England this week. This may be my favorite bet of the week. Detroit's one of those, everybody loves them. They're scoring points. It's so much fun here, but if there's anybody that's going to slow this offense down, it's going to be Bill Belichick. Like you said, and Patricia, knowing Jared Goff, who knows who they get back. That obviously may change this line if Amon-Ra St. Brown is in there. If not, feels like a game New England's defense should be able to control. They're not as good as they've been in years past, and they are going to be able to run the hell out of the ball. So DFS-wise, love Damian Harris on FanDuel, Ramondre Stevenson on DraftKings. I think both guys certainly in play here, but I think New England wins this one easily, Derek. This Detroit defense is just that bad. So I'm locking in New England here as well as one of my favorite bets of the week. In fact, my favorite bet this week is New England -3. What do you got here, Noto? Detroit and New England.
Make it 3 for 3. Locking in the Patriots as well. For all the reasons you guys mentioned, they're going to be able to run the ball. The Lions on the road. I do like the Lions as an underdog more than a favorite. We kind of all took the Lions, at home as a favorite last week. That was probably a mistake, but they're going to fight till the end. But I just see, New England controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides.
All right, let's open up the late afternoon window here. We got San Francisco traveling to take on the Carolina Panthers. Niners at 2-2, Panthers at 1-3. Somehow, Matt Rule still has a job. This spread has ballooned from an open of 3 all the way up to 6.5 in favor of the Niners. Total down there at 39.5. So, Derek, Niners look good the other night against the Rams. Now they travel to take on this disappointing Carolina team. 6.5, just a shade under a touchdown. Can the Niners go on the road and get this done?
This one feels like a trap, but I was looking at some numbers, and the Panthers' offensive line has actually been really good this season, and Baker has still been awful. I think the Niners are going to get a lot of pressure on him, at least a lot more than he's faced in the first 4 games. So even though I don't like taking big road favorites, I am going to take the Niners in this one. I gave Baker a shot last week with my pick, and I'm not going back there.
Another heavy bet for the public here. 79% of the bets and the money coming in on the Niners. I'm going to leave this one alone. I lean the Niners. I do like the under in this one, though, Chop. I don't know where Carolina's going to come up with any points here against this San Francisco defense. That's looked great. Baker's looked terrible. So give me the under here in this one. What do you got, Niners and Panthers?
I lean the Niners, but nothing big, just because some of the things you guys already mentioned. I tried to give Baker the benefit of the doubt coming from Cleveland, and no, he's just not doing it for me right now. He looks pretty bad back there. But on the other side, the Niners are not playing the Rams. So Garoppolo is not going to look like a Pro Bowler here. Like he's going to probably revert back to what he typically does. He really only saves those special games for the Rams, it seems like. So battle of two tough, rough quarterbacks. I'd lean Niners. Nothing big though.
All right, let's go to these guys' favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles, undefeated, traveling to Arizona. 5.5-point spread here in favor of the Eagles. That opened at 4, so that has ticked up. Total up there as we'd expect at 49, one of the highest totals on the board here, Chop. So Eagles have been good to you. I'm assuming we're locking this one in. Arizona certainly hasn't done anything to show us that they belong in a game like this. I like the Eagles in this one. I am locking Philadelphia in. I think they blitz this Arizona team. I think you're really going to see a big performance out of this Philadelphia offense, and this Arizona offense has looked lost. So Philly, to me, feels like an easy one here. Chop, what do you got here, Eagles and Cardinals?
Whew. You know, I can't lock it in, but I'll lean the Eagles until they prove otherwise. But I'll lean them. I just won't lock them in because it's just fishy. So going on the road like this, and Arizona has, I know they haven't been particularly good on offense, but they do have that one thing that can equalize it, which is Kyler Murray's legs if he chooses to use them. But you're a really good team. Like you're really good in the NFL when you just kind of erase a 14-point deficit like it was never even there against another good NFL team. Like 14-0, no big deal. Watch at halftime, we'll be leading this game. I guess when you're pretty strong. So, but I'm not going to lock them in. I think there's a little question with their left tackle, if he's going to play or not. That could be the first chink in the armor for them this year. And like I said, Kyler Murray at home, they really need a win here. I think he uses his legs a little bit, so I'm kind of neutral on it, but I'll lean Eagles.
I like that they've done it in multiple ways. I mean, they've done it in a passing game. We get bad weather. Okay, we're going to hand Miles Sanders the ball 40 times. The defense is strong. I just think that it's too much for this Arizona team to overcome on both sides of the ball here. So, Derek, are you with me? Conviction on the Eagles? You would chop with the lean on the Eagles, or are you riding the Cardinals here at home?
I can't leave the only team that helped me out last week. So, I'm locking in the Eagles. So I was looking at this the other day. You know how teams usually script up a certain amount of plays, offensive plays to start the game. Well, Cliff Kingsbury and the Cardinals offense, they have 0 first quarter points this season. They have yet to score in the first quarter. So I like taking the Eagles to score first. I like taking them the first half. Obviously like the game as well. They have elite corners. Obviously their offense is great. Part of the reason why the Cardinals have been okay is their ability to come back on teams in the second half. But I don't think the Eagles' defense is going to let that happen. So, give me the Eagles. Lock them in. My favorite bet of the week.
All right. That is your 5th best bet. We'll recap all of our best bets here at the end of the show. Next game, we got Chops, Dallas Cowboys traveling to LA to take on the Rams. Opened up Rams -7. That has been bet down to 5.5 here. This total sitting at 43. So, Derek, we'll stay with you. Dallas, not quite ready for Dak yet. Cooper Rush has been great, undefeated as a starter. The Rams on the other side, it's been a mess. I mean, Stafford looks terrible. The offensive line looks terrible. Allen Robinson looks washed to those that said that in preseason. You get that W here. About all they got is Cooper Kupp. Dallas loves to blitz. This is an offensive line that they should be able to take advantage of here. I'm leaning Cowboys here in this one, potentially a best bet. Have not decided yet. Derek, what are you doing on this one, Rams and Cowboys?
This feels like the obvious bounce back spot for the Rams after such a poor performance. But you mentioned it, man. They haven't been able to protect Stafford. He hasn't been able to get anything going outside of throwing it to Cooper Kupp. So I'm with you. I'll take the points on the road with the Cowboys. Not a best bet because I'm out of them, but Cooper Rush, he's been good enough, and I think that keeps going this week.
All right, let's get to our Cowboys fan, see what he thinks here. Chop, team has looked good with Cooper Rush under center. Rams have looked terrible. Do the Rams right the ship here, or is this Dallas defense going to be too much for them?
Oh, I always like to bet me a little regression, and I feel it coming on in this game, so lock me in on the Rams as a best bet. The Cowboys may be able to pressure Stafford in this game, but by the same token, how are the Cowboys going to stop Aaron Donald? You know, that the middle is probably going to get exposed for the Dallas offensive line. Cooper Rush has looked fine, but this will be the toughest test he's faced. Yeah, and the Rams, so, you get these things, Mcveigh versus Shanahan. I mentioned Garoppolo earlier. Mcveigh versus Shanahan has always been a real mismatch in favor of Shanahan. McVay just struggles against that team. Well, believe me, I would hope McVay can coach circles around Big Boy McCarthy there today or on Sunday. So I don't think that advantage is going to be like it was last week on that game with the 49ers Rams. I think the Rams are going to bounce back here strong. So lock me in the Rams, man.
All right, Chop, locking in the Rams, his fourth best bet here. So one bullet remaining, 2 games left. Let's go to Sunday Night Football. Cincinnati and Baltimore should be a fun one. Both teams sitting at 2-2. We got the Ravens as 3-point favorites here. That is down from 3.5 at open. Total still sitting at 48.5 where it opened. So Chop, Baltimore, let that one get away last week. They had Buffalo beat in those weather conditions. Let them back in the game. Do they bounce back here? Cincinnati. I mean, this is a big divisional game. Both teams sitting at 2-2. What do you got here, Sunday Night Football?
This is going to be my 5th best bet right here. My last one of the week, and I'm taking the Ravens. It just feels like Cincy, for all that money they spent on the offensive line, we kind of touched on it a little bit in the past, but they're just as bad as they were last year. So they haven't improved that offensive line. Mixon can't run the ball at all. Like, he's literally grinding out 3 yards a carry against everybody. Not a good look here going into Baltimore. Baltimore's lost some tough games. I think they bounce back strong here. They're just the better team. It feels like they're just the better team. So I'm locking in Baltimore here. Best bet. Also, circle back, put me down, Tampa Bay survivor pick this week. I need Tampa Bay as my survivor.
Oh, boy. Okay, going against my Falcons there with Brady, Tampa Bay survivor pick.
If he's washed, he's washed. Then I'll dance on his grave, but I'm going to give him one more chance to get out of the hole here.
All right, I am with you on Baltimore, Chop. I am locking them in as my 5th bet here as well. I know Joe Burrow, Chase had some massive games against this team last season. At secondary, still banged up here, but I agree with you. I think Baltimore is the better team here. So I think the Ravens right the ship, get this done at home. Give me Baltimore -3 for my 5th best bet. Derek, what do you got here? Sunday Night Football, Cincy and Baltimore.
I love the over in this one. In their 2 meetings last season, they combined for 58 and 62 points, and Burrow threw for about 1,000 yards in those 2 games. I don't think the Ravens secondary is nearly as good as it was a couple years ago. Still missing a couple pieces back there. I do lean toward the Ravens as well, but I love the points being scored in this one.
All right, let's wrap it up. Monday Night Football, Vegas traveling to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Opened at -6.5. That has gone to -7. Total way up there, highest of the week at 51. So, Derek, we'll stay with you. Tough spot here for the Raiders. They finally get a win last week against Denver. Now you got to go on the road and play Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, a team that dominated Tampa Bay in that game on Sunday Night Football. So, 7-point favorites here with the Chiefs. Who do you got, Raiders or Chiefs?
I'm a known Raiders hater, I guess I would say. I don't think they're a very good football team, but they looked good last week at home against the Broncos. I would lean towards the Chiefs. Would want to lock them in, but I already got my picks all set up. It just screams one of those games where, the Raiders keep it close somehow, backdoor cover or something like that. So I'm going to stay away from it, but I like the Chiefs in this one.
I'm leaning the over in this one. It's just a lean. I'm with you. No strong take. Probably lean to the Chiefs here as well, but certainly no best bets for me. I'm out of them anyway, but would not be locking one in on this game. Chop, any more conviction? You're out of best bets here as well, but what are you doing here Monday night, Raiders and Chiefs?
Definitely no strong takes on this one. But if I was going to lean here, I'd lean Raiders. Just a divisional game. It's tough. They usually play the Chiefs pretty tough, and the Chiefs are coming off that like spectacular win against Tampa Bay. There's got to be a little bit of a letdown here. I think I lean the Raiders, but not much.
All right, that will do it for week 5. Quick recap of the best bets. Chop is rolling with Green Bay, Tampa Bay, New England, the Rams, and Baltimore with Tampa Bay, his survivor pick. Noto rolling with Denver, Buffalo, Miami, New England, Philadelphia, and who for your survivor pick?
I'm going to go safety route with the Bills.
All right, rolling with Buffalo here. And my survivor was eliminated long ago, but I would probably go the Buffalo route as well. My best bets this week: Atlanta and Cleveland, New England, Philadelphia, and Baltimore. So an interesting week here, a tough week with some of these numbers and spreads. So take it easy with the bankroll this week would be my advice here. Final thoughts, guys. Week 5. Derek, what do you got?
Look, there's only 18 weeks. If you've gotten off to a slow start, don't let it discourage you. Let it fuel that motivation. You're only 1 week away from, getting back on track. So I'm coming off of a terrible week and, do my best to bounce back. Looking forward to week 5.
It happens. Pick yourself up off the canvas, and it's a fresh start here this week. So great advice there. Chop, final thoughts for the people. What do you got?
Should be a fun week. We got all this going on in football, and then plus we got some MLB playoffs starting. I kind of always look forward to that. It's the format should be fun, so should be some good sports stuff going on. If you're in a state where you can bet legally, man, must be nice because it's going to be fun.
Yes, it is. NBA right around the corner here as well. So gonna be busy for sure. But thank you as always, everybody, for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. Don't miss the show. Head over to BetMGM, promo code Grinders for that risk-free bet up to $1,000. And best of luck with your bets and your DFS this week. For Chop, for Noto, I am Beer. We are the DFS OGs. Thank you so much for listening. Best of luck this week, and we'll catch you next week. Kick off the new pro football season with the king of sportsbooks. Sign up at BetMGM using bonus code Grinders, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Michigan, Mississippi, Nevada, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Puerto Rico, Tennessee, Virginia, Washington, D.C., West Virginia, Wyoming, or Ontario only. Must be 21 years or older to wager. 19 or older in Ontario. New customer offer only. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. Excludes Michigan disassociated persons. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado, D.C., Kansas, Louisiana, Nevada, Wyoming, or Virginia. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help in Michigan. 1-800-GAMBLER in Indiana, Maryland, New Jersey, or West Virginia. 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789 in Tennessee, or call 1-888-777-9696 in Mississippi and Ontario. If you have any questions or concerns about your gambling or someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. Sports betting is void in Georgia, Hawaii, Ohio, and Utah, and other states where prohibited. Promotional offers not available in Nevada and New York.